Amy.
Hey, Jack.
I'm gay.
Oh my god, that is so funny. I'm also gay. I was going to tell you.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
And you're listening to Dating Straight. Hey, Amy.
Hey, Jack.
Hey, Gia.
Hi.
So, welcome, Gia. For those of you who missed it, we just had a crazy conversation filled with shade and tea about the music industry among drag queens or people who come off of Drag Race. And I don't know why Gia will never be making another song again. And so if you're interested in that, make sure to go listen to the audio-only pre-show, which you can hear on podcast app, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts.
Stunning.
Also, make sure to rate, review, subscribe, and subscribe to our Patreon. We put new stuff out all the time.
Yeah, you
All
gotta.
that stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, Gia. Yes. Okay.
Oh, no.
Gia, if you were writing a 5-star review of our show, what exactly would you have to say about us?
Well, baby, I've never listened to one of your episodes and I've talked to you for about 5 minutes. So I really could not give you an accurate rating.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you should ask me that maybe at the end of the interview or after the post-editing or the full episode is aired. So far, I would say it's, there's stars there. Let's get into this interview.
How many? We don't know.
Girl, they want star ratings right at the intro. Like, girl, you got to earn those stars. What's going on? Let's get these questions going, boo.
I actually think that that's a perfect review. So I've never listened. I don't know you guys. 5 stars.
I mean,
I love it.
I looked you on Google. You guys seem like a big deal. And that's amazing. I'm sure you guys have a great platform. But, I would really need to be able to listen to like a few episodes to really see
no pressure.
Say no more.
What it's about. I'm a very honest girl. I don't like blow smoke. And that's just my honest thing. But I'm sure you guys are lovely.
Well, we appreciate your honesty. I think this is going to make this interview even better because now we can trust that all your answers are going to be
truthful.
They're sugar-coated.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, baby, she doesn't. I've been real since 1990, honey. Let's get this going.
So, Gia, for the people who don't know you, which I feel like everyone's going to know you, but who are you for those?
No, the truth of the matter is nobody knows me.
What are you talking about?
Well, nobody knows the real me. You guys know a persona. You guys know an edit. You guys know this person that was created on television, but you guys actually have no idea who I am as a person. And, who I bring to the table today is much more Gia Ichikawa than Gia Gunn. And I can proudly say that I'm a very proud Japanese American trans woman who's literally living and learning each and every single day. And looking to give back to my community and also bring awareness to the trans community while building my empire and hopefully one day being like a CEO of, my own thing.
Fuck, that is some queen shit right there.
Well,
yeah. Why not? Let's strive for the best.
Yeah, of course. Let's get into our catch-ups of the week.
Yeah.
We do like a quick little catch-up of something that happened this week.
For me?
I mean, yeah, you can.
We'll do it.
You don't have to, but you can if you want.
This week. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I'll go fast because mine is traumatizing. I'm kidding. It's not traumatizing. It's completely fine. So I don't know if you remember, but about a month ago, I spoke about this, right, Jack?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I matched with someone on a dating app. And I knew that they weren't interested in me because
the quarantine dates.
Yeah, she's getting desperate.
The quarantine dates, honey. I love.
Well, no, just hold on because
didn't even get there.
So I believe that it must have been an accident because I then messaged her. Oh,
you like women?
Yeah, girl.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
We're Jack and I are gay. So.
Oh, is this is the LGBT podcast?
Oh,
yeah.
That.
Oh, okay. Oh, it's all making sense now. Okay, keep going.
So anyway, it must have been a mistake because I messaged her and then I looked today and she unmatched me. So it's painful. I have to reimagine my whole future.
She wasn't the one.
But the real tea is that I'm probably going to see her at a wedding that I'm going to next year. So I'm going to be like, what was that?
Amazing.
Right? What do I say? What's like a good comeback?
Hi, how are you?
True. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
That's always a good place to start.
And looks stunning, you know?
That's the goal. Always.
My thing is always this, you know, kill people with your looks. If you don't have looks, kill people with your kindness, period.
So I'll kill her with my kindness.
Well, you have both, but yeah.
Thank you.
You know, maybe a little, you know, hi, how are you? You know, and you just like saunter away and you let them look at what they could have had, boo. That's what this is about. I mean, the grass is always greener on the other side. So like in the moment, people may feel themselves, but in reality, they don't even know what to feel, you know?
I feel that.
Amen.
Yeah.
So Amy, make her jealous.
You're right. I'll try
Make her jealous, but also, you know what? She may be the one for you. You just never know. Like like other things might have gone down. Maybe she was like dating someone and they were like creeping in her like dating apps like a creep. And like, maybe she was like, well, I'm going to save this one for later. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. Do you guys have each other's numbers?
No, I don't know this person at all. And we don't need to make excuses.
Fuck her then.
Yeah.
Yeah, girl.
We definitely don't need to make excuses. Like, she probably just wasn't interested. And you know
that's
what?
Okay. And how does that make you feel?
See, Gia, here's the tea, is that usually I'm not interested in anyone, but someone not being interested in me makes me much more interested in this.
Sure. I get that. Well, you know, as a trans woman on dating apps, I'm always constantly rejected, not just because of, you know, they're not interested in what I am, but simply because of who I am. And that's difficult, you know? But, you know, we live in a world where people, I think, are trying to become more comfortable with themselves. They're trying to expand their horizons. And, you know, I think especially with this whole movement right now, it's a good time for people to kind of come into their own and maybe give things or people a chance that they never would have before.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think, I mean, if we're talking about you specifically, I mean, you were the first trans AllStar on Drag Race.
I was the first trans woman to walk into the workroom as a woman. So not just an AllStar. I think people, don't understand. And that didn't really get enough attention, but that's a really big deal. You know?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we wanted to ask you about. I don't know, do you feel like you being the first, and what year was that? Pretty recently. Do you feel like
January 2019?
Wow.
Yeah, like do you feel like there is enough diversity or gender diversity, particularly on that show?
Oh, I don't think I need to even answer that. I think it's a pretty apparent question, which is a firm no. Where's the diversity? Where's the gender diversity? It's all male, and you know, whether they be Black, Asian, white, Hispanic, whatever. I mean, sure, there's our diversity. But the last time I checked, the LGBT is made up of way more than just men. And this is another reason why I'm distancing myself from drag. And I never really felt that welcome in those spaces, especially once I transitioned, is because it is a predominantly male industry. You know, all the drag, all the gay clubs, you know, they're all ran by, you know, for a better conversation, cis white gay men with lots of money who continue to basically profit off of minorities or trans people like myself. And I can no longer support that.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense. It seems to me like, I mean, if we're going to go there, I hope you don't mind if I go there, but we all recall RuPaul at one point saying that trans women should not be invited on the show.
Right.
And that created a lot of backlash. And you tweeted about it. And I wanted to know about how it feels. Like, is it intimidating to come out with a statement that sort of challenges Ru?
No. I mean, she's a person just like all of us. And I feel like regardless of your status, if you're a real human, real knows real. And when people do wrong, they should apologize. When people do wrong, they should also be called out. You know, I've done wrong in my past. I've been called out. And guess what? I've apologized. I own up to my mistakes. I own up to my lack of education. I own up to my privilege. I own up to all these things. And people need to do that, including her. You know, and I think we don't need to hold people accountable. I think RuPaul has done plenty for the community and much more to come. So we all can't speak too soon because she's also not that dumb. And they know this industry very well. I think the cards have been dealt. And I do think changes will be made. And so at the end of the day, whether that includes me or not, I really don't care. I just would like to see my community on that show because we deserve it. You know, my very first drag show was not a man dressed as a woman. It was a trans woman with full breasts, full body, you know, woman. And for me, that was so beautiful. That's what attracted me. That's what I fell in love with. Not some fucking doesn't matter thing. For my experience, that's what I enjoyed, you know, and growing up in the Latin community in Chicago, predominantly trans showgirls, you know, it's like that for me was the idea of not a drag queen per se, but the trans women were definitely integrated in that. And to then have the show come out and then have us not even be included at all is just very mind-boggling to me, especially considering RuPaul grew up, you know, in New York and shared many dressing rooms, I'm sure, with trans women because, like I'm saying, in the 80s or whatever, those times, you know, trans women were running the drag scene. It's like the drag queens were trying to be like the trans women. If you did not simulate a woman and if you weren't passable, you weren't considered a good drag queen. And so RuPaul's Drag Race came and introduced this idea of, well, you can be anything and be a drag queen, which is fine. I love those doors that were open, but I don't appreciate my community being left out.
Thank you so much, Best Fiends, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. Jack, you look really tired.
Wow, that is so kind of you to say. Yes, I am very tired. I have been staying up till like 3 a.m. Very frequently because I've been playing Best Fiends. I've just been trying to beat my own scores, you know, get to higher levels. And then also I've been looking at the Best Fiends leaderboard and I'm just like, what if I were number one? You know, my life would be made. And that's why I love Best Fiends because I'm obviously clearly obsessed. And my favorite thing about the game is like when you're stuck on a level and then like you complete the level and then like all feels right in the world for like that moment.
And then you just have to keep playing.
And then I have to keep playing. And then it gives me something to look forward to, you know?
Best Fiends is the Can't Put It Down mobile puzzle game with over 100 million downloads and counting. It's free to download. It has literally millions of 5-star reviews on the Apple App Store and Google Play. Millions. Go off.
And more levels, events, and challenges are added all the time. So play away. There will always be one more level. And seriously, once you download Best Fiends, boredom won't stand a chance, baby. So download Best Fiends free today on the Apple App Store or Google Play. That's Friends without the R, Best Fiends.
Thank you also so much, Brooke Linen, for sponsoring this episode of the podcast. So, little small changes can lead to like bigger positive changes. So for example, now that I wake up at the crack of dawn to go on a hike, that's just led to such a great lifestyle change for me. And another great lifestyle change was getting new bedding, getting comfy bedding, because I sleep so much better now. And it just like really charges me forward in my day. So I love Brooklinen.
Wakes you up at 5 a.m. because you're so well rested. You know, you don't need to sleep until like 11 like me.
Totally.
But you know Brooklinen as the internet's favorite sheets. They're also home to bedding, loungewear, and more with over 50,000 five-star reviews and counting. We both love Brooklinen.
Yeah.
I mean,
they are literally the comfiest sheets that I have ever had. They are like cool when you need it, but cozy as well.
Yeah.
Honestly, I fucking love my Brooklinen sheets. I'm not meant to swear, but I did.
But like no BS. Like Brooklinen sheets actually are.
They hit.
They hit different.
They really do. They've moved beyond the bedroom to offer bathroom and life essentials too. They have towels, shower curtains, loungewear, which I would love to try, silk eye masks, robes, etc., etc. Brooklinen has got it all.
They sure do. And they've got something for you. So go to brooklinen.com. And it is the perfect place to start making small changes that make a big difference. Brooklinen is so confident in their products that all their sheets, comforters, loungewear, and towels come with a lifetime warranty. So go make yourself comfortable. Get 10% off your first order and free shipping when you use promo code DATING only at brooklinen.com. Brooklinen, everything you need to live your most comfortable life.
Thanks, Brooklinen. And then after you tweeted back to Rude, that's when you were on AllStars, correct?
I don't really remember the exact sequence. I've tried to block a lot of that out because it's so, I mean, you guys laugh, but honestly, it was so toxic and so dark for me that I just don't even really remember. I've moved on. And I think it's also a big part of it is due to my transition. When you transition, things of your past, especially those types of things, you know, it's like you try to move past them. But I think, she said something stupid. They realized what they, you know, needed to do, which was apologize. And unfortunately, I was used as the apology. And, so that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, we're going to bring a trans person on here. We're not going to acknowledge her transition. We're not going to talk about it. And I certainly am not going to own up and apologize with my own words. So to me, that is not okay. That is not something that I could respect. And, you know, whether I feel used and abused or not, that really doesn't matter because the show's done so much for me. I literally am the proud woman that I am today because of Drag Race. I will forever be thankful of RuPaul, the platform that I was given. And perhaps once I start to see a change in the way that they cast people or what we see on TV, you know, perhaps I could rejoin forces. It's never too late to make amends. It's never too late to apologize. It's never too late to realize where you fell short, you know? And that's that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, people right now, there's a lot of talk about cancel culture. I know we're hearing about this a lot. And
so disgusting.
I think, we have to give, especially for someone like RuPaul, like sort of how you mentioned, RuPaul is someone in our community that has done so much for us. And like,
and could be doing more, but you know, we don't need to we don't need to expect things from people. We just need to do as much as we can. You know, if she did all the work, there wouldn't be work left for people like myself or the other community leaders or other activists or other drag queens, you know? So we can't hold her accountable, you know, but
Yeah. I mean, I think it's sort of like similar to the Ellen thing we've been hearing about is, Ellen, I'm sure Amy knows more about this than I do. But Ellen sort of has been getting like, quote unquote, canceled for, I don't know the specifics. I guess just like being
awful,
a bad person, kind of. Yeah. But at the time, when Ellen came out, she was such a huge influence in like lesbian public figure in media. And so I think we have to respect, the work that these people put in, while also, expecting growth from people as well. Because nobody's stagnant. We're always growing. So
well, I stopped expecting things from her a long time ago. Especially after AllStars and my experience on there. I stopped expecting anything from her. Because I saw it with my own two eyes that things were not changing. So I honestly, I agree with that. But I also think we could also end up wasting a lot of time expecting things from people. I think we could also find ourselves disappointed expecting things from people. And so I have learned to really not expect anything of anyone, not even my best friend. I don't even expect people to call me, when something bad happens, just because you can't expect things from people. The only thing you can do is put out your best. And if you believe in karma, hope that it will come back to you.
Yeah. I think that's a good outlook. I think healthy way to deal with.
I mean, expecting things is setting yourself up to be disappointed. And I'm just at this point, whether it comes to dating, whether it comes to opportunities, whether it comes to expecting things from your family or your children or, God, it's like, no. I mean, you would think it would be nice for people to reciprocate kindness or to reciprocate, stuff. But I don't know. I just stopped expecting things from people and just trying to take my own initiative, my own power and do something with that,
Yeah.
But I agree. People do always expect, especially from public figures, especially from celebrities or people in high places, people expect because, it's like you have privilege, you've been blessed, so give it to us.
Yeah. Especially when you're like a figure of that size, like sort of representing drag as a whole, when like that person fucks up, it reflects on a larger, more than what that one person, you know what I mean? So, but I think you're right. Like we need to not force Ru to necessarily be better herself.
We need to be able to hold people accountable as well.
But I think also more important than that is like, maybe we should be making sure that Ru doesn't have the voice of drag. Like it should be more diverse than that to begin with. So if one person fucks up, it doesn't mean that it doesn't like reflect on the entire community, if that makes sense.
I personally don't think she has the voice of drag anymore. I think she's the host of the show. And that's it. I really don't think she has the voice of drag anymore. I think the queens in the community, yeah, I mean, honestly, I don't even really see that many queens using their voices either, other than like my sister Peppermint, Milk. And we're talking more activism. One thing I want to touch on too is that, just because someone's Black doesn't mean they have to advocate for BLM. Just because someone's a trans person doesn't mean that they have to be a trans activist. Just because somebody's gay doesn't mean they have to, support the LGBT center. I mean, we are all humans. We're all able to think and function however we would like. I think it's a beautiful thing that we all come from different places, different experiences, different ages. And, that's how we learn. That's how we grow as a community also. I personally just think RuPaul, she's an older gentleman. She is in her, she has a way of thinking. Her idea of drag is clearly one way. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we cannot be upset with people for being human. And RuPaul, under all the gigs and the wigs, she's a human being. She has every right to make mistakes. She has every right to say drag is this, trans is that. And they're very different because they are very different. You know, it's like when the whole BLM thing happened, I think a lot of the community was expecting something from her. Maybe a tweet, maybe an Instagram post. But in my opinion, she just shut off. She ignored that whole thing. I think to the point that she even deleted her Instagram or some stuff went down. And it was a clear sign that she is not looking to advocate for this movement. And that, yeah, you know, we can sit here and assume all we want, but realistically, all the energy that I put into thinking about her and what she should and shouldn't be doing, I need to be putting that own energy and thought into what I need to be doing.
Yeah.
Because, baby, she's made it already. While we're sitting over here talking about, well, RuPaul did, she's over there, baby, and her whatever millions of dollars mansion in Beverly Hills. Lovely. So really, we also need to stop giving these people the Jeffree Stars, the, you know, Tati Westbrooks, you know, all the James Charles. Baby, give it a rest. You know, there's so many people out there who are actually really doing good, that really are trying to make a difference here. Let's talk about them. But because they don't have TV shows, they don't have blue check marks, they don't have platforms, they don't have followers. So in society, they're nobodies. We don't talk about them. They're not noticed. So part of my journey now, and what I would like to do now, is to give those people voices, use my platform to help elevate the most vulnerable and give back. Because that's what this is about. The last time I checked, it's okay to encounter success. We all want to succeed. We all want to make it, especially here in Hollywood. It's like, yeah, of course, you're going to do and say whatever it is that you need. But one thing that I won't let go of is my dignity and my respect. And I do think that there is a fine line of people selling out in a way. And I think she's sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, I think you're probably right. And
so,
wow. You are honest, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I mean, and I think we need more people like you who are, you know, willing to tell the truth.
Well, we live in a time now, I think, especially now, where if we're not speaking the truth, then we shouldn't be speaking at all. You know, I think with all the fake news and the fake tabloids and all this other stuff, what's real? And in my mind, I mean, some people may call me crude, some people may call me blunt, some people may call me negative. I call myself real, you know? And if that's too much, baby, there's the door and there's the off button and you don't have to listen to me. But I just don't, you know, and I've also worked very hard to build this type of confidence, to have a backbone, to be able to say things without caring what people say, to be able to state my opinions without having fear. And that's what people need to do. We all need to have that confidence. We need to have that authenticity running through our blood. And this idea of being real is okay. You know, there's filters. Yes, there's way to be eloquent. Yes, there's way to get your point across without being too, you know, whatever. And I'll be honest, I'm working on that. You know, I'm still working on that. I come from an a drag background where everything goes, everything went, whether it was what you were wearing, what you're performing, or what you were saying. And now as I'm entering, you know, my 30s as a woman, not as a drag performer, you know, I realize the importance of speech and words and eloquence. And it is important. But there is a way for us to speak without the bullshit, without the, you know, cherries on top. I mean, there's a time and a place for everything. And I just think when we talk about this stuff, it is what it is. You make the decision. You know, at the end of the day, it's like we've spent 30 minutes talking about this. It's like, realistically, you do your research, you decide how you feel about the show. Guess what? Don't buy it on whatever, pay-per-view or whatever it is that you're watching it on. Unfollow the show. Don't support it. But sitting here going back and forth about, well, maybe it's going to change. And no, girl. That's why I just slammed that door shut, especially once the pandemic hit. I lost my job as a drag performer. I was forced off the stage and into the four walls of my one-bedroom apartment here in West Hollywood. And I'm still trying to figure it out. And as bad as I'm feeling it, maybe financially or whatever, the happiest I've ever been, because I'm not living out of a suitcase. I'm not having to flop around on stage from country to country. And I'm actually having a moment to breathe into my own existence and really take a moment for myself to really rebrand, restructure, and just live. It's so amazing what this pandemic has done for me. And I feel so blessed and I feel so fortunate.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about that with a lot of people. And I think I completely agree with me personally. Like, this, of course, is a time of incredible sorrow, but like a time of great growth or great potential. Is it a time of great sorrow? I mean, I understand that people are dying. I understand, and that is not okay. And that is not okay.
And people are losing their jobs.
People are losing their jobs, and that is not okay. But maybe those people needed to lose their job. I needed to lose my job. I needed to lose my job in order to
But you have the privilege
to restructure myself.
Yeah. Not everyone has that privilege. But I think
I get it. No, I get it. There are people struggling, but I think it's a time for everybody to wake up. You know what I mean? It's a time for everyone.
Definitely a time.
It is. It's all about how you look at it. I mean, absolutely. My best friend's, stepdad just died from COVID for going to Mexico. And I was scheduled to go to Mexico next weekend to actually do a drag show. Well, I canceled when I had my flights and my hotels and everything booked, simply because this thing is serious, but yeah.
Yeah, but we can make the best of it, hopefully. I
just think there's more to the story. I don't think we're all being told all the facts. And I think that, there's a lot more to all this that the three of us are probably, may never become aware of. But it's unfortunate for sure. For sure.
Yeah, I think you're right in that we don't know a lot about, like, we're at the very initial stages of what this means, like this disease and how this will manifest. But I think it also is important to be sensitive.
Oh, no, for sure. I mean, I think life is all about what you make it. And I think, if we can somehow turn this around for the better, help each other, conversate, educate each other, I don't know, borrow each other money, give each other opportunities, whatever it is, it's a true test to human society on how supportive we can really be of each other, and how respectful we can also be of each other in terms of putting on our masks and practicing social distancing and, all that. I'm not saying that this is not a sorrow time, but I'm also bringing to the table that it can also be an enlightening time. I mean, I guess I should just speak on my own experience. For me, it has not been that sorrow of a time.
Yeah. It's a great opportunity to sit back and really look at your life and see what you want to take forward with you after this. And so I get that.
Yeah. And I just feel like if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would have never stopped doing drag. I would have never closed that door. And that's a door I've been trying to close for years.
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't like performing. It's just I'm ready to move on. And people get comfortable with money, with fame, with whatever. And I don't like being comfortable. I like to continue to challenge myself. I know that there's more for me out there in the world. And I think I really needed the pandemic to help me figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I feel like I've been going through the same personal growth or like, it's sort of like when you're, at least for me, I'll speak on behalf of me, like when your worst fear comes true, like I'm very much a hypochondriac, anxiety, anxious person.
Sure.
And like when your worst nightmare comes true and you still end up okay. And that is obviously a privileged thing that I have, but like I'm so lucky. And like it's reframed my brain about like, okay, I can do this. You know, I can survive. I have the will because I've like, I don't know. I was so worried about this happening. And now that it has, it's kind of nice confidence to know that I can get through something like this, you know? And that we can all help each other.
Well, I mean, yeah. And this is just me being real. I mean, for all three of us sitting here in our apartments doing this podcast is a clear sign that we have privilege. We have blessed lives while other people are out on the street trying to figure out where they're going to live tomorrow, you know, and how they're going to feed their children. So, you know, to all of our listeners, you know, before you go and, you know, just throw away those leftovers at dinner, it's like, well, maybe box it up and give it to a homeless person. You know, maybe, you know, if you see like there's, you know, I live in West Hollywood. There's homeless people, like not necessarily right here, but a lot here in LA. And, you know, if I see someone like outside of a Whole Foods or whatever, like I'll ask them what I could buy them, you know, before going in, and, you know, I'll buy them a few things. Or like I said, you know, starting simple, like not wasting food, you know, go and even leave it out on the street. Like we're in a time right now where somebody will eat that. Somebody will look for that, you know, and also just really like appreciating your family and your friends and letting people know that they're loved and letting people know that you're thinking of them during this difficult time, you know, I think is so important. You know, I mean, my father alone, it's like he, you know, doesn't know if he'll be going back to work after 35 years at the same company. And I'm sure he's devastated, you know, but I call almost every day and, you know, try to check up on him and just make sure that like people are okay, because I'm a little bit worried, honestly, for these next couple of months. Like people, like the dust is settling, the unemployment may be coming to an end for some. Like what's really going to start happening? And
Lord knows.
Lord knows. I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe RuPaul will wake up and tweet, "I love trans women." Who knows?
I guess crazier things have happened.
True.
I suppose so. Well, we are also obviously a dating show. So if you're interested, we would love to talk to you about, you know, dating and the experience of dating as a trans woman. Because I'm sure that it is much different.
And isn't that shitty that we even have to say trans woman? It's like, why can't it just be dating while woman? You know, it's like, I can't wait for the day where it's like, that's not even a thing, you know? But go on.
Well, I was just wondering, I don't know, what things do you think we as cis people don't consider while dating that, like something that trans people might have to, or that you might have to? And like, what's the best way you think for, you know, people like us to support trans women or trans people?
Gender. I don't think cis people think about gender. You know, and that's many things. You know, when you step outside of the house, I'm sure you know, and everyone around you knows that you are a male. And when you step out, I'm sure, I assume you identify as female and the rest of the world sees you as female. Well, nowadays we do have to ask, that's another side going deeper into the conversation. But let's start at the very basics. Trans people step out and we have to think about, okay, am I coming off, feminine enough? Do I need to up my voice? Do I need to look down while I walk past these, straight men before I get bashed? I mean, there's just so much more that I, as a trans person, just have to deal with even before the dating that cis people don't have to go through. Right. And then we extend the umbrella to gay and lesbian and bi. Trans people don't have a closet to hide in. Y'all do. If you wanted to hide in a closet and pretend like you were straight to blend into society or to, protect your job, you can. Trans people don't have that luxury. So I think, when it comes to dating, at least in my experience, people are okay with the whole, like, well, you're a woman, it's like, sure, I'm privileged. I look okay. I passable or not. I hate that word, but it is a thing. And nowadays, most heterosexual men, if they're going to be with a trans woman, they want you to be passable. They want to be able to take you out into society or take you to their family and not have people suspect that you're trans. Well, that's a very big request and expectation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
This is also where we come back to the expectation. So now you're expecting me as a woman to sound a certain way, smell a certain way, look a certain way, have a certain thing between my legs, all these things.
Yeah.
Cis people don't have to go through that.
Yeah. We already sort of, I suppose, meet the expectation that our partners expect of us.
Period.
Yeah.
I would say that's the biggest difference.
I think that sounds like a big difference.
So when I go to certain places and I get misgendered, it's very mind-boggling to me because I don't think that anything of me other than possibly my voice comes across as male. And that is just such a thing that we need to shake. And I think it starts within our own community because gay men are the worst when it comes to being critical of trans women, whether it be because they're envious or whatever it may be. It needs to stop because we cannot be the LGBTQIA plus community while we're tearing each other down, being critical and running up to the straight man that's dating the trans woman saying, hey, bro, do you know that's the man? Because you want to sleep with him. Because you're whatever masculine energy. It's like, you need to dominate me and take my man. Bitch, get your own man. It's like,
yeah,
what the fuck? People, I don't know. So
yeah,
to go back to your original question about being fetishized, I also think there are a lot of trans women, present day and past, that have given trans women a bad name, that have represented us in a very overly sexualized way, myself included. I think it comes from a place of working so hard to have the bodies we have, to become the people we become. And what better, who doesn't want to feel sexy, and
of course,
sex sells. It's a way of being liked. It's a form of likeness. And unfortunately, I think a lot of trans women in specific also have been forced into sex work, whether it be porn, escorting, OnlyFans, modeling nude, whatever it may be. And I think when we see the ideal trans woman only in those lights, that does not teach society that there are other types of trans women out there.
Yeah.
And that you could be with, not that you could be with, but that it goes beyond that.
multifaceted human beings, not just like sexy women.
Yeah. I mean, now, a lot of trans women are very beautiful. Lots of trans women, in my opinion, exude and exceed basic femininity. I mean, a lot of trans girls are very glamorous and overly feminine, and that's why men like us. That's why men look at us. That's why men want to date us. Until, oh, that's a man. Now they want to murder us. So how do we get to the point where we all have a past life, where my past life doesn't have to affect my current day to the point where now my safety is in danger? I'm not currently a man. So what's the problem?
Right.
I'm also not a drag queen with a wig on and pounds of makeup and foam body trying to trick you. You see?
Yeah, it's not an illusion.
It's not an illusion, but we don't have enough people talking about this. We don't have enough trans women in the spotlight talking like this. They're either in the spotlight soaking it all up for themselves, all the fame, all the glory, all the proceeds, not turning around, not donating, not showing up for community, not doing anything. Or we have the trans women of, color that like are constantly battling each and every single day to hand out meals to the community, to house the community, to support the community, to give, medical services to the community. Being transgender is not just, oh, I feel like a woman. There is so much that goes into it that people don't understand. And I just wish that we could be given a little bit of a fucking break, girl. It's like,
yeah,
fuck. People are so critical and so quick to judge. And the community is fed up.
Yeah. I mean, I think you're exactly right about your point about like it begins within the larger LGBTQ plus community, because I don't know, in general, this might be a generalization, but I feel like LGBT people in that community are surrounded by more trans people than, straight people are just initially.
Sure.
And so we have the responsibility and opportunity as, cis members of the LGBT community to, I don't know, amplify that voice, because I feel like our voice, I mean, it's clear to me that like gay rights are not perfect and we are still, like a class of people that isn't fully understood, but we've made great strides very quickly, I think. But I think we've left trans people behind as a community.
Well, I was just going to say gay rights and trans rights are two different things.
Absolutely.
Let me ask you this. As a gay, cis, white male, would you advocate for trans people before gay people? Do you current day?
Well, the thing is that I feel like because gay, like I feel pretty comfortable already in like how society views gay people, especially living in a city like LA, and now I'm in New York. So I feel like I don't have to worry about that as much. So now is the opportunity for like I personally feel like I don't need to be every day, going around being an activist for myself. But it's time to support those who do need us. But yeah, I mean, that's a hard question,
Have you done any advocating for trans? Have you done any, what do you do as a gay male to support trans people?
I mean, I've marched, I've donated, we speak about things on this podcast, but I'm sure there's always more I can do,
There's more I can do.
Absolutely. I think that's the hard question is like, how can we put in the work and, be confident in that we are doing good while also still pushing to do more. And I feel like that's a hard, something I'm still working towards,
Absolutely. And it's not to put you on the spot, but the conversations start here. And for me, as an advocate for I need to know, and also gay men also need to know, like, did you even know that you could advocate for did you know that you could be a trans activist while being a gay male?
That's an interesting question. I think I personally only thought about things like that like during Pride Month, like
unfortunately, yes.
Yeah. And now since like BLM and like since a lot of women of color have been, being harassed or murdered, I think
which has been going on for years, but yeah.
Of course. But now it's just getting like a larger spotlight. And I feel like now I definitely am thinking about it more, like year round and trying to figure out my voice and, what is my place in, what is my place in this movement,
Absolutely. And, I think there is a great divide. And for me personally, I'm somebody who doesn't even think that the T should be in the LGBT acronym. I think that it should be removed because I don't feel aligned with lesbian, gay, or bi. That is something very different than a transgender individual. I partially think part of the reason why we are in the predicaments that we're in as trans people is because we've also been categorized as being homosexual, because that is what gay, lesbian, and bi means. So people are now very confused, especially with Drag Race and gender nonconforming and non-binary and bearded queens and bio queens and the 41 plus genders. What actually is a trans person? And that's a conversation in itself that we don't have the time to have today. But at some point, there needs to be a shift. And I feel like being trans is its own category. I'm not trying to separate or divide the community, but if we're not going to be included, if we're not going to be fought for, if we're not going to be put on the same level as everybody else outside of a nightclub up on a stage being handed a fucking dollar, I don't need to be a part of that acronym.
Like, don't pretend.
Don't pretend.
I think where people are still getting confused, which is insane, it's 2020, is they don't understand the difference between gender and sexuality. Like, those are completely two different things. So I do, of course, see what you're saying, like wanting to make trans its own thing, because it doesn't really have anything to do with lesbian, bi, or gay.
It's like, and then, okay, let's go back to our history that we're now learning about how many years later, which is crazy to me, myself included, which just indicates there just hasn't been enough education. It's all been jolly be golly for too long.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And my thing is, how is it that gay rights were fought for by trans women of color, and now we basically have no rights?
Yeah.
It just is so mind-boggling to me, and it feels a little like betrayal, by the gay community. And that's also another thing where for me, drag, it's like, so I only mean something to you with a wig and makeup on and up on a stage. But as soon as but when you see me at the store and all it's like, well, is that my only importance to the community? Yes, queen. Y'all don't even know what yes, queen means. Y'all don't even know where that came from. Put those fingers down. Let me get up off this stage. Let me start using my platform and let me start having conversations like this to really get people's minds jogging. There's plenty of people with lashes, lipsticks, and death drops, that are gladly taking the spotlight. For me, that's not making a real difference in this movement that's not contributing towards the trans conversation. Because when I'm up there on stage, how many of y'all still look at me like a man, a really pretty one? And then we talk about the straights. Oh yeah, she's one of them. She just looks really good. We're going to give her a 20, not $1. But you still think of me as the same thing. That is not okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think you're exactly right. Like, we categorize trans people in the same category as drag, which is inherently the same category as gay whiteness. Or, I mean, that's not what drag was, but that's sort of what we see
it's
on
not
TV
what
now.
It was.
Right.
It's
but now
not what
it's
was.
sort of the most, dare I say, the most like successful queens coming off of these shows are now, you know, cis white, usually attractive men, gay men.
That's to be determined, but yes.
Okay, but you know what I mean? Like, yeah,
Sure.
I think you're exactly right. Like, I say we as though I'm part of drag culture, but like, we've borrowed this transness, this gendered...
stole, I think is more the word.
Stole this gendered culture and reformatted it and claimed it as ours instead of... And left people in the dust. Left, you know... I don't know. It's just really unfortunate.
Mama, I'd like to hear from you as a cis woman. What do you feel like, you know, what do I need to do? You know, what do I need to do to help this further along?
I think that you are doing it. I think that you're using your platform to have the tougher conversations and to inform white cis people like us, and to have all of our listeners who are pretty much all part of the LGBT like experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just...
But mostly the LGB experience.
I wouldn't necessarily even say that.
It just makes me so emotional because it just really sucks. And, you know, I ask these questions because I need guidance too. I mean, I've only been in transition for 5 years. It's like, I don't have all the answers for people. And I know that I'm privileged. I know I come from a blessed background, but what can I do?
You are doing your part. Are these
conversations really, really going to change anything? You know,
Yes.
It's like, I just can't stress enough. It's like, it's just hard and people don't understand. And I feel like I honestly, not you guys, but I just feel like a lot of the time when I have these conversations, like I'm literally talking to like, I don't know, people are nodding their heads and shaking their heads and saying yes, and we understand, but like nobody really understands what we go through. You know, it's like terrible how people treat trans people. It's terrible what the government, you know, allows us to do and doesn't allow us to do. And like the lack of resources and the rights and just all of that is so not okay.
Yeah.
It's scary. I cry out of fear because sometimes I just don't know.
It seems, like a lot of weight that we don't understand. Like people, I think because like as soon as you become a trans person, or not become, as soon as you, I don't know.
Exactly.
We put a lot of weight. We put on a lot of weight on you to be an activist and to know everything and to have all the answers and represent your community. And the reality is, like, we can't expect that of any one person. It's not like you signed up for that and knew all the answers and want to share them. You're still learning and growing. And I think we have to be patient with one another.
But yeah, people are so worried about why I don't have hips, why I sound like a man. why I like, why I do the things I do, why you're bullying pheromone. It's like, girl, and that's why I just have to get away from all that, because that is very that. And I'm sorry, I love Drag Race. I love the show. I love all that. But the fans are so toxic, so young. They have no idea about real life. And girl, I'm a 30-year-old woman. It's not something that I'm looking to entertain anymore. And I don't want those followers. I don't want those comments, because that puts us in a dark place. That's why so many drag queens are bitter, because at some point it's like, just enough is enough. Like, we're people too. We have platforms. Yes, we're blessed. Yes, whatever. But we're doing what we can, and we're living and learning. And for me to go on AllStars, dipping into my surgery fund to spend on drag, to go to this show, to possibly, I knew I wasn't going to win, let's be real. And that's sad to say, but okay. It's like, and then to not even be acknowledged about like how far I've come or my transness, that is disheartening, disrespectful, and just unfortunate, and a very big missed opportunity. But I do consider myself a trailblazer. I was the first, and all I can hope is that there will be at least one or a few more to come.
Absolutely.
And that's it.
Yeah.
You've done, I think, more than enough. And I think that's like,
And isn't that shitty that I feel like I've done nothing?
Absolutely. But I think that is I don't know, it's like the endless circle
life.
of, and it's just, you know what? It's like, as we've been saying a couple times, expectation. You can't expect perfection out of yourself. And you can't expect
we do.
to work.
Us as humans, we expect ourselves to look perfect, sound perfect, perform the best, appear the best, have the best Instagram feed. It's like, and especially now, there's so much pressure, especially for somebody like me,
Absolutely.
And I just can't wait till, baby, I have that empire that I spoke about in the beginning of this interview. That is not just a dream. It will be my reality, for I could feel a little bit less of that pressure and really help people breathe into this new energy, this new way of thinking, this new existence, because it's time, not just for me, not just for trans folks, but for all.
Yeah. I think that you're doing that already. You're already using your voice to like emancipate yourself from your pain and trauma and empower others. And you've empowered so many others. So I think that you can be proud of that.
I hope so.
And you have.
I have to say, you've asked us the tough questions today, and gotten us.
Well, that's my job too. I'm not just here to be a guest.
Yeah, but not everyone. Not everyone. Uses their platform, as we've spoken about. And that's why people are like, "Oh, you're not an activist." Baby, I'm an activist however I want to be, whenever I want to be. And my biggest advice to people is simply doing like what I did. Raise questions. After we hang up, I'm pretty sure y'all will think about things that we spoke about, as will I. I mean, I've spoken about this time and time again. So that's why, honestly, also, there's a part of me too that's like, y'all want me to talk about this stuff? You got to pay me. You want me to talk about my transness? Why do I got to talk about that? This is something that I've spent so much time in my life to be just who I am. Let's start there. I mean, how much work have you guys put into being men and women? That was a given. That's not something you had to work for. Why do I got to talk about that? But I talk about it without a price at times, because it's important. And this is how I feel that I can help give back to my community.
Is it sometimes annoying? Is it sometimes dark and not what I want to talk about? Absolutely. But is it possibly giving people a story to relate to? Maybe shedding some light where it's much needed? Absolutely. And that's why I do what I do. But as you can see, it's not just sitting down and talking about like, oh, well, life is so hard for a trans person. It's like, well, yeah, no shit, bitch. We get it, But I really need people to start getting it. It's like,
well, I thank you for, giving us the opportunity to talk about this with you because, I think, like you said, you don't like, we shouldn't expect that of you. And I thank you for having that conversation.
I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I just can't wait till the day where I don't have to show up and talk about my transness. I don't have to show up as the trans woman from Drag Race. That sounds awful. Why can't I just show up as Gia Ichikawa, the beautiful Asian woman, or just Gia Ichikawa? Why are we so set on labels? So set on, the gender norms and what this and that should be. And, but we are in that time. And I am a human being in 2020, and this is where we're at, But I like to raise the questions of where we're going. I also like to raise the awareness of where we need to be, because I don't think a lot of people are doing that. So I thank you as well for having me on here. I hope that it wasn't, too raw of an interview for you, but I think it's necessary. And that's why you guys asked me to be a guest on here, If you wanted the fluffy story, well, go ask, Carmen Carrera or Manila Luzon. I don't know.
Well, I think we have come to the end of our time today, but Gia,
oh my God, you wouldn't say.
What?
Perfect.
So,
because baby, I got a nail appointment. Girl, look at this, Phil. Girl, these babies need to be done. Y'all got me over here crying out my good Thursday morning beat, giving RuPaul way too much light, girl.
Well, it's our mistake, but we thank you for coming on.
Oh no, not your mistake at all. I think y'all are doing really great things. Just please, think about what we talk about. Maybe y'all want to get more trans guests on here. Maybe you want a trans man. I'm more than happy to refer you. There's, a whole different experience too that we're also missing from the trans male side of things.
Sure.
I think trans women do get a lot of the light, and our brothers are forgotten about. So.
Absolutely. Gia, where can people who have been inspired by you, where can they find you?
Well, everywhere. Instagram at Gia_Gunn, YouTube Gia Gunn Entertainment, and I guess Twitter at Gia Gunn. I guess TikTok too, but girl, I'm too old for that. But that's Gia_Gunn 3. Baby, just go to the Instagram.
Okay. Thank you so much again for joining us. And thanks for listening. I'm Amy Oddman.
I'm Jack Dodge, and this is Dating Straight.
See you next Tuesday.
Bye.
We could be broken-hearted lovers. You can help me recover. Ooh, we could be broken-hearted lovers. You can help me